Just want you to know.
You were told that last week, right?
Yeah, last week was Toldot. This week is Vayetze. I want to continue a little bit with the page 134. Okay? I want to go through a little bit again. We'll start with the brachot. And last time I ended off with an explanation which some might say was heretical. And I said that Yaakov is a man of truth, but he doesn't seem to be acting as a man of truth. And maybe it was a process. Like Avram went through a process with the Akedah of subduing his love, his overwhelming love, and showing Yirat Hashem, fear of Hashem, or awe of Hashem. Maybe it was a process. And as I mentioned then also, when we read these stories of the Gedolim, and we get of a great Jewish leaders who often get a false impression that they never had any challenges. And they were making brachos when they were 5 months old, before they would nurse, etc. Right? So you say, where does that leave me? But clearly, Sheva Yipol at Tzadik V'Kam, which the verse says a righteous person falls 7 times and rises. And very, very famously, the explanation is given that does not mean that even though he fell 7 times, he got up. Wow, that's a tzaddik. But it's because he fell and got up and fell and got up. That's what made him a tzaddik. And without having those falls, he never would have become a tzaddik. So we say, did the Chavetz Chaim ever speak Lashon Hara? And we'll say, no, he never spoke Lashon Hara. But I don't think that could possibly be true. I think the only way he could become the Chavetz Chaim was by having serious challenges with Lashon Hara and overcoming those challenges. And a serious challenge overcoming would seem to include having stumbled at some point. I'm not saying he was speaking Lashon Hara when he was 80 years old or when he was 50 years old. But along the way, there had to be the ups and the downs. So I had said that maybe Yaakov was not acting in a very honest way here. And maybe he overstepped. Right? And he later became, by learning from his mistakes, he became this paradigm of emes that we say that chesed, kindness, is the midah of Avraham, and emes, truth, is Yaakov. So Rabbi Sachs actually says along those lines. I have some backing for what I'm saying. Let's just read through. So I want to give Rav Sachs' interpretation. I also want to give, I started to present it last week as Rabbi Cook from Ner Yisrael, but a very dear friend of mine who was a very close Talmud, Rav Yaakov Weinberg Zatzal, who I had the privilege of having him be my Masada Kedushin. He performed my marriage for me. I had a beautiful relationship with him when I was in Ner Yisrael. See, he has a very interesting approach also that I like to present, and then I want to go a little bit to where the Torah seems to be leading us with this. Let's just read through, starting on page 135. Let's just read through and get a sense for what is happening over here. Okay? Marty, you want to lead off at the very top? And it came to pass?
And it came to pass when Isaac had become old, and his eyes dimmed from seeing, that he summoned Esau, his older son, and said to him, "My son." And he said to him, "Here I am." And he said, "See now, I have aged. I know not the day of my death. Now sharpen, if you please, your gear, your sword, and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt game for me.
135.
Then make me delicacies such as I love, and bring it to me, and I will eat, so that my soul may bless you before I die." Now Rebekah was listening as Isaac spoke to Esau his son. And Esau went to the field to hunt game to bring. And Rebekah had said to Jacob, her son, saying, "Behold, I hear your father speaking to your brother Esau, saying, Bring me some game and make me delicacies to eat, and I will bless you in the presence of Hashem before my death. So now, my son, heed my voice to that which I command you. Go to the flock and fetch me from 2 of choice young kids of goats, and I will make them delicacies for your father, as he loves. Then bring me to your father, and he shall eat, so that he may bless you before his death.
Now, at this point, is there any deception that's been mentioned?
Yes.
What? All she told him to do is, I'm going to make it, and you bring it to your father, that he may bless you before his death. Right? And, right? At this point, we have not seen clearly any idea of...
There was an intent at this point.
We don't see,
Why?
right? At this point, it could very well be Esav's going to bring food. I want you also to bring food. He's going to give a blessing to Esav. He should give a blessing to you also. He wants food and to give a blessing. Why should it be only Esav? Right? So at this point, we have not yet seen, it's not clear that Rivka has, over here it says Rebecca's scheme. At this point, we don't see any scheme.
We'll see it in the next sentence.
I'm sorry?
But we're going to see it in the next sentence.
Let's see what's going to happen. But from Rebecca's point of view, what does she say?
Just cook the dinner for you.
Bring him food,
Make it a
right?
potluck.
Bring him food. Linda.
I'm also wondering, we don't have Esau back yet, so we don't know that he actually managed to get the food. And maybe
Yeah.
she wanted to have him fed.
It's a very
Perhaps,
feeble-
perhaps.
very
But Esav
feeble-
seemed to be pretty dependable when it came to getting food. He seemed to get the job done pretty well, right? That doesn't seem to have been a concern.
We see from here, Jacob is not a good cook.
Okay, let's continue.
135.
Okay, so at this point we don't yet see Rebecca's scheme. Jacob replied to Rebecca's mother, "But my brother Esav is a hairy man, and I am a smooth-skinned man. Perhaps my father will feel me, and I shall be as a mocker in his eyes. And thus I will bring upon myself a curse rather than a blessing." Here is, we don't know, is this Yaakov's interpretation of what his mother said? Or was this actually what his mother said? But here is the first time that deception enters into this discussion. But it's very interesting. Vayite be'einav k'mitateya. I shall be as a mocker in his eyes. Now, what does that mean, as a mocker? It should say, and I will be a mocker in his eyes. What, right? Vayiti be'einav mitateya. Well, furthermore, is it a mocker or is it a deceiver? So it seems strange, the wording, I will be like a mocker. First of all, why like? And why a mocker? Right? What I would imagine is, he should say is, now, my father, Esav is very hairy, I'm very smooth, I'm going to go there, I'm going to get busted. He's going to say, you're not the man. And it will bring upon me a curse and not a blessing. Let's put that question, store that question aside for a minute. But his mother said to him, your curse be on me, my son. Only heed my voice and go fetch for me. So he went, fetched, brought to his mother, made the delicacies. Rebekah then took her oldest son Esav's clean garments, which were with her in the house, 137, and clothed Jacob, her younger son. With the skins of the kid goat, she covered his arms and his smooth-skinned neck. She placed the delicacies and the bread which she had made into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came to his father. And he said, Father. And he said, here I am. Who are you, my son? Right away there seems to be some unsurety. Jacob said to his father, it is I, Esav, your firstborn. Okay? Now, according to the way we explained yesterday that he had actually bought, according to the way that we went last week, with justification for Yaakov doing this, he had become Esav the firstborn.
No.
By buying the Bechorah, right? I am the person who is like Esav, your firstborn. Just hold it. I have done as you told me. Rise up, please. Sit, eat the game, that you may bless me. Isaac said to his son, how are you so quick to find my son? God arranged it for me. Come close, I can feel you. Are you indeed my son Esav or not? Jacob drew close. His father said, the voice is Jacob's voice. The hands are Esav's hands. He did not recognize him. The hands were hairy. So he blessed him. Now, one second. You're about to give over this amazing blessing for all generations. It's going to reverberate throughout time. And you have a doubt over here. The hands are the hands of Esav. The voice is the voice of Jacob. First of all, why didn't Jacob disguise his voice? Right? You think the first thing you want to do is you walk in there and say, "Hi, Dad. Back from the field." Right? Not, "Hi, Dad. Here's the food." Right? So it seems A, strange. Why didn't Yaakov disguise his voice? B, here is Yitzchak. And there's confusion. The hands are the hands of Esav. The voice is the voice of Jacob. But he didn't recognize him because the hands were hairy like Esav, so he blessed him. I have a better idea. Rivka, please come here for a moment. Right? Or one of the many servants, could someone please come in over here for a minute? I need some help. Right? My eyesight is failing. Who is this standing in front of me? That would have made sense.
It would, but it was meant to be.
Okay, granted. Look, we can go with Min Hashamayim. This was orchestrated. His eyes were weak. Why were his eyes weak? One of the pshat in Rashi says is in order that Yaakov could get the bracha. So you're right. This was all divine intervention in order to orchestrate Yaakov getting the blessings. Could be. I'm certainly open towards that. But I want to go with a little more of the pshat.
And if there's a deceit, it was on a part of Rivka. She knew.
Well, at this point, she knows. She gave him Esav's garments.
Yeah, she
Yes.
knew exactly what she's doing.
I think everybody was deceiving everybody here.
Okay.
Everybody was
Okay.
deceiving. And
Why is Yitzhak say, "Who are you?" Why does he go like that?
Because he's unsure.
no,
Because he's unsure.
Why is he unsure?
Because he can't see.
Why is he unsure? Because why did he come back so fast? The voice sounds like Jacob.
He
There's-
knows exactly
Before
who
you
he is.
before you even talk, who are you? There's no talking yet.
Yeah, it is. Who are you, my
talking.
son?
Yeah.
Who are you?
No, Dov, you're wrong. Right? And he came to his father and said, "Father, here I am."
You know what?
And said, "Father."
Yeah.
And said, "Father."
He said, "Father."
And he said, "Here I am. Who are you, my son?"
He already
Right? He said, "Father." He spoke.
So right away
Let's go a
he
little
knows.
further, guys. Let's go a little further.
We need to know.
Right?
Yeah. We need to know.
So he blessed him. Well, almost. He served me, "Hey, come close so I may kiss you, my son." 139. Right? So he drew close and kissed him, smelled the fragrance of the garments, and blessed him. And he gave him the blessing, which is, "May God give you the dew of the heavens, the fatness of the earth, abundant grain and wine. Peoples will serve you. Your mother's sons will bow themselves to you." Okay? That's the blessing that he gave. It was then when Isaac finished blessing Jacob and Jacob scarcely left from this presence, Esau came in. He too made the delicacies. "Father, rise, eat. Who are you?" "I'm your firstborn Esau." Isaac trembled. Where is the one who hunted game brought to me? I gave him, I blessed him. Right? Hear this. Let's go carefully in 33. Where is the one who hunted game brought to me? And I partook of all when you had not yet come, and I blessed him. Indeed, he shall remain blessed. Now, that seems a little bit strange. Indeed, he shall remain blessed. It could mean, right?
He
It's too
intends
late.
to bless
It's
him.
done. Shall remain blessed. Right? But I would imagine if a person who had just been completely duped, then your reaction is not going to be, "Indeed, he shall remain blessed." It could be, "What can we do? He'll remain blessed." But
Not at his age. I think that there was let it go, let it be as is.
okay,
And he knew what he's blessing. He knew that he's blessing Yaakov.
okay. So Esau lets out a cry. "Bless me." Well, let's hear this pause. We're going to come back to this a little bit later today. When Esau heard his father's words, he cried out an exceedingly great and bitter cry and said to his father, "Bless me too, father." So your brother came with cleverness. Actually, the pasuk says mirma. Mirma normally means guile. Rashi says chachma, but it means wisdom, cleverness. But mirma represents a tricky wisdom. And he said, because his name was called Jacob, he outwitted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright now. He took my blessing. Right? Now again, according to those who were according to the approach that Yaakov was justified, right? He said he took away my 2 blessings. Oh, he took away Bechorah? Oh, then he was right in getting the blessing. Have you no blessing for me? And he goes on and gives him what can I do? But he says what he says. Now, just look at, let's jump up ahead.
Rabbi?
Yes.
The word Yaakov Yaakveni, that's Yaakov's name.
Yes. He has tricked me. Yes.
So is his name Trick?
In one of the meanings of the name could be Yaakveni. Yes. Yes.
I mean, that's like...
But now, let's zoom up a little bit ahead now to page 143, Parak Chavchet.
142.
143, 142, 143, in the English, chapter 28. Someone take that over there. Now Rivka just told Yaakov, you got to go, Esav wants to kill you. Okay? So what happens? So Isaac summoned Jacob. Someone take that for us?
So Isaac summoned Jacob and blessed him. He instructed him and said to him, do not take a wife from the Canaanite women. Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethel, your mother's father, and take a wife from there from the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. And may El Shaddai bless you, make you fruitful, and make you numerous, and you be a congregation of peoples. May he grant you the blessing of Abraham to you, and to your offspring with you, that you may possess the land of your sojourns, which God gave to Abraham. So Isaac sent away Jacob.
Okay, so what just happened over here?
He's not upset. He's giving him a very good blessing.
He's not upset. He's giving him the blessing. He's giving him a blessing.
A blessing.
Okay, now so this is where you'll hear in a moment. This is how Rabbi Sachs, right, understands, he first offers different explanations, as we did. Justification, he was not worthy. He was saving it from someone who was not worthy, etc., etc., etc. But he says as follows. Okay, we're going to come back to that point in a minute. What results from this? Right, and we'll soon come to our Parshat. Yaakov needs to leave his house for 20 years. Right? Now, Yaakov also, when the whole thing happens in this week's Parsha with Leah and Rachel, right? He worked 7 years for Rachel, and then what happens? For Rachel.
He was
Right?
deceived.
And then what happened? He was deceived. So what does Lavan say to him? In our place,
That's what we do.
B'mkomenu, in our place, we don't give the younger one. We don't put the younger one before the older one. Right? That is as clear a dig. Right? He's rubbing Yaakov. He's rubbing it in Yaakov's face. Right? I know the type of shenanigans you like to pull. We don't pull those shenanigans over here. Right? And this was grief for the rest of Yaakov's life. Right? The Rachel, Leah, the children of Leah, the child of Rachel. This, right, to the point that when Yaakov, or Sachs writes, when Yaakov is asked by Paro, how old are you? He said, I'm 130 years old. Oy vey Zmir. What a life I've had. He kvetches to Paro. So Roy Saxon wants to say something very interesting. When we started off last week that Rivka had the prophecy, V'rav Yavod Tza'ir. The older will serve the younger. Right? Well, V'rav Yavod Tza'ir. The older will serve the younger. That's one way of understanding those three words. V'rav Yavod Tza'ir. Or it could also be V'rav and the older Yavod Tza'ir will be served by the younger. Actually, that can go either way. That could go either way. There is a certain ambiguity. The way Rabbi Sachs wants to understand is as follows. Yitzchak understood his two sons. Now, let's go back a generation. Avraham had two sons, Yitzchak and Yishmael. What blessing did he give to Yishmael? He gave to Yishmael the blessing of the land, right? Of the materialistic world. What blessing did he give to Yitzchak? Two things. Children and land. The nationhood and the land of Israel. Now along comes Yitzchak.
But wait a second, did he give Yishmael which land? Any land?
Not land, right? But, right, if we look back over there, right, also by Yishmael, right, Hashem tells him, don't worry, Yishmael will also be blessed. Right? Let's find it. Page 97. Right? Arise, last verse, 18. Right? This is Chaf Aleph Yud Ches. 97. Arise, this is speaking to Hagar, lift up the youth, grasp your hand upon him, I will make a great nation of him. Right? Greatness will also, things will also come from Yishmael. But the bracha that he gives to Yitzchak is the nation of Israel will come through him and the land of Israel. Now what happens over here? Yitzchak has two brachot to give. What does he want to give? He wants to give the blessing of wealth and power, as was given to Yishmael. He's going to give that to Esav. This is not what he calls the covenantal blessings. Right? The covenantal blessings he gives at the very end. We just saw that. What did he give him over here? At the very end, back to 143. Hashem will make you fruitful, make you numerous, and may you become a congregation of people. That's nationhood. May he grant you the blessing of Abraham, you and your offspring. Nationhood, the lineage of Abraham. You may possess the land of your sojourns, and you'll have the land of Israel. So Yitzchak also wanted to divide the brachot of the power and the covenant. Those two are divided. He says that Yaakov was mistaken and Rivka were mistaken. And that's how he understands when we go to our, well actually not our Parsha, when you go up to Vayishlach, right, when Yaakov re-encounters Esav, what does he say to him? Turn to page 177. What happens when he re-encounters Esav?
Divided.
Right? Probably 177. Jacob raised his eyes and saw Esav coming. Right? Then he went ahead of them and bowed earthward 7 times until he reached his brother. What was the bracha? Rabbi Sachs understands at this point he is giving back those brachas to Esav. The bracha to Esav that was meant for Esav that Yaakov took was, your mother's children will bow down to you. What is he doing over here? He's bowing down to Esav. What is he giving him over here? All the flocks, all of the dew of the heavens, all of that, he's giving it back to Esav. That is how Rabbi Sachs interprets this. Yaakov and Rivka, with the best of intentions, erred in taking a bracha that wasn't meant for them. He goes in, everyone has their brachot, right? And taking a brachot that were not meant for them, that was an error that they made. That's Rabbi Sachs's reading of the Parsha. Rav Yaakov Weinberg has a very, very, very interesting, Zatzal has a very interesting approach here. he asked these questions that I meant. Well, the questions that I brought up were his questions. Yaakov disguised his hands, not his voice. And he understands as follows. Yitzchak knew that this nation of Israel is going to have to deal with some tough cookies along the way. Lavan is up ahead. He knew that this is what we're going to have to deal with. There would be issues moving ahead. And you needed someone who was going to be able to handle these challenges along the way. You have Yaakov, who's a tzaddik, but so pure. He's going to get eaten up by these other people. You have an Esav who's powerful, but lacking in yirat shamayim, lacking in fear of heaven. Who are we going to go with? Well, either we need to we will need an Esav with some yirat shamayim, with some fear of heaven, or a Yaakov with some more gumption to deal with these situations. He decided to go with Esav and try to bring him in closer, and he'll be the man. Yaakov was not tricking Yitzchak, and Yitzchak was not tricked by Yaakov. What Yaakov meant to show, and he didn't disguise his voice. It's clear who I am. But I want to show you, as we would say in today's, I can drop the gloves also. I also don't always have to be this perfect, pure tzaddik. Right? Actually, later on, when he meets Rachel by the well, right? He says, according to the way Chazal interpret it, right? You don't know my father. Don't worry. Achivhu. I could be his brother. I can handle him. Right? He was showing that he can be crafty when necessary, and he tried to be. And there were all these signs that were made up between him and Rachel, so as this switch could not take place. But in the end, Rachel shared the signs with Leah, and it did take place. But what he meant to show over here was, I am able to fill this role. That's why I'll be in his eyes like a mocker. I'm not fooling him, right? I'm not even mocking him. But I'll be in his eyes like a mocker, because he won't think that I really can pull this off. Right? Exactly. But it was a charade that he knew about and Yitzchak knew about, but it was meant to prove the point. It meant to prove the point. That's why Yitzchak didn't say, hey, someone come in here. Who is this guy? It wasn't a charade to Yitzchak. And to Yitzchak, Yaakov was not fooling Yitzchak. He didn't mean to fool Yitzchak. He was not being fooled. He meant to show, I can also assume this role. And according to that, the trembling that he felt when Esav came in was the mistake that he felt, just how close he was to making a mistake. To thinking that Esav was the man and would try to make him a little more frum, as opposed to Yaakov not being the person, because he doesn't have the ability to be somewhat crafty, right? And that way, Gam Baruch Yeh, right, is very clear. He puts the stamp of blessing on Yaakov. Different approaches. Yes, Dov.
Two quick things. One, when he says, who are you, right? When Yosef says, who are you? It's reminiscent of Hashem saying, where are you, Adam?
In English it is, Dov. In Hebrew it's...
No, this is saying, because...
No, it's not like, what I'm saying...
Like if we go to Yitzhak...
In Hebrew, Ayeka is where are you? Here it's mi ata.
Who are you?
Right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's like Hashem saying, I'm playing around.
I don't necessarily hear that, but you can work on that a little further. Rachel.
What I'm thinking is, how did Esav feel knowing that all three of them betrayed him?
Okay.
All three of them played the trick on him.
Okay, to a degree. Yeah, depending on our interpretation, yes. And that's the next point that I want to bring. The next point I'd like to bring is
And he remained a good son. What resentment?
Yes, okay,
He
good,
should have
good,
felt was his
good,
mother,
good,
not his
good,
father.
good. Let's think of emotional, high emotional events in the Torah. And let's see how the Torah presents the emotions in those cases. What would you say are the most emotional times in the Torah? I would say certainly Akedah of Isaac. Yeah, right? That's high emotion. How does the Torah, let's look on page 105. Sorry, 103. Let's hear how the Torah presents the emotion. Page 103. Verse 7. Isaac spoke to Abraham and said, Father, and he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Here are the fire and the wood, where is the lamb for the offering? Abraham said, Go seek, I myself the lamb for the offering, my son. Two ways of reading that. And the two of them went together. They arrived at the place which God had spoken to him. Abraham built the altar, arranged the wood, bound Isaac, placed him there. Abraham stretched out his hand, took the knife, slaughtered his son. An angel of God said to him, Abraham, Abraham, here I am, do not stretch your hand, do not do anything. Now I know that you are in awe of me, since you have withheld your son, right? Abraham held his eyes, behold the ram, caught in the thicket. So he took the ram and offered it, and called the place Hashem Yireh. End of story.
No.
Probably the most emotional event of the Torah. How much emotion does the Torah share with us?
Nothing.
Zero. The Torah gives us no emotional insight about how Avram was feeling and how Yitzchak was feeling. Yes, Jan?
But kind of afterwards in Sarah, you see it when the shock makes her...
What do you see? According to the Torah, Sarah died.
Yeah.
Avram came to eulogize her and cry for her.
Yeah.
Zero emotion. What's another emotional point that you would think that we have an explosion of emotion? Linda?
Well, I would think standing in the Garden of Eden and you know you're in trouble would be very emotional.
Good. We don't find any emotion over there.
No,
Good.
The most emotional is Judah speech to Joseph to protect his
Okay,
father.
good.
That's
Yehuda makes an impassioned
Judah
speech
that's the
to
most
Yosef to
powerful.
Binyamin. Another time I would expect a lot of emotion would probably be Yetziat Mitzrayim. Right? Exodus from Egypt. 210 years of slavery. Right? Now we do have the Az Yashir.
And Miriam singing.
Right? And Miriam singing. But again, there's not that much emotion. The Torah doesn't express that much emotion. You know what's really emotional? Here's where the Torah is going to go really overboard. Moshe not being allowed to enter into the land of Israel. Okay, let's see the emotion over there. That's going to be over the top.
Yes.
Over the top, right?
No.
Unfortunately, nothing. Go to page 1111.
So you're saying emotions that don't matter, honestly.
I'm not saying don't matter.
I mean, they
I'm saying the
matter,
Torah does not
11.
jump into and share emotions
Which is
with
amazing,
us.
talking about what's going on today. Because so
Yeah.
much is going on based on feelings
Yeah.
as opposed to fact.
Yeah. Let's look at this. The last psuk of the Torah. Hashem spoke to Moses on the day saying, ascend to this mount of Abarim, which is the land of Moab, which is before Jericho, the land of Canaan, right? And die in the mountain, where you will ascend. Be gathered to your people as Aaron your brother died in Mount Chor, and was gathered to his people, because you trespassed against me among the children of Israel at the waters of Meribat Kodesh, right? You did not sanctify me among the children of Israel. From a distance you shall see the land, but you shall not enter here into the land that I give to the children of Israel. After that, right, how much emotion is there? Zero. And then V'zot bracha, Moshe gives a blessing. Moshe dies, and that's that. Now, granted, Moshe did plead with God.
Yes.
Okay? Moshe did plead with God. If you go to page 959, Parshat Vayetchanan. Vayetchanan el Hashem. And I implored Hashem, saying, my Lord, Hashem Elokim, you have begun to show your servant your greatness, your strong hand. For what power is there in the heaven and earth that can perform according to your deeds, according to your mighty acts? Let me now cross and see the land that is on the other side of the Jordan. Well, let me go see it. But Hashem became angry with me because of you. Did not listen to me. Right? So this is Moshe telling Bnei Yisrael, I pleaded with God, I implored God, but it didn't go. Again, how much emotion is being expressed over here? Not that much at all. Right? So we had the emotional high points of the Torah. Right? It was mentioned their banishment from the Garden of Eden. Right? And over there too, take a look. You didn't see that, but take a quick look over there. And there's basically no emotion over there. Right, page 17. Right, who told you are naked? Have you eaten? The woman, she gave it to me. What have you done? The serpent deceived me. Shem said to the serpent, this happened to you. To the woman he said, suffering, childbearing, pain, etc. Okay, to Adam he said, because he listened to the voice of your wife, right? You should not eat it, right? Thorns and thistles, with sweat of your brow, etc., etc. Page 19, right? And then that was it. 23, so Hashem banished him from the Garden of Eden to work the soil from which he was taken. Right? There's virtually no emotion that the Torah shares with us.
What about Aaron and his
Except he
son's
talked
song?
trembling.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry.
That's not really it's not really emotion. Oh, let's hear over here. Right? He said trembling isn't really emotion. He trembled. Right? We're not getting into the Torah is not pulling our emotional heartstrings. It's not tugging on our heartstrings. Let's come back to page 139. 138. Let's hear it in Hebrew first. Pasuk Lamed Daled. Kishmoa Esav et Divrei Aviv. And when Esav heard the words of his father had just said to him, right, your brother came, right, who came and brought me, I have everything, he will be blessed. And it was Kishmoa Esav, when Esav heard et Divrei Aviv, the words of his father, Vayitzak, and he cried, Tze'aka, a cry, Gidolah, a great cry, Umara, and a bitter cry, Ad Ma'od, really, 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 Ad, until Ma'od, until very. I know it doesn't translate so well in English, but until a tremendous degree. Vayomer la'aviv, and he said to his father, Barcheni gam ani avi, bless me also, my father. And he said, Bachicha v'minu, your brother came with cleverness, trickiness, whoever will say it, and he took your blessing. And he said, that's why he called him Yaakov. He's done this to me twice. Right?
When twice?
I'm sorry? Well, first when he bought the Bechorah from me, and now over here. Right? But we have this eruption of emotion. The Torah, this is the only place, or maybe there are others, but certainly other places where we would have expected to have our heartstrings tugged upon. They were not. Where's the one place where the Torah is saying, feel sympathy over here? Esav.
Hagar and Ishmael, when she cries so she won't see the lad die.
It doesn't say she cried. It says she went away to a distance so she shouldn't see the lad die. Doesn't even say that she cried over there.
What lesson do we learn from all of it?
Okay. So, right, I think I saw somebody Sachs a number of years ago.
I think also it's amazing. Tzaka, it almost sounds like Yitzchak. The word.
Yeah, it's different.
It's
different, yeah.
Because the words are so similar. There's just the chet that's missing.
Yeah.
And it's twice.
Well,
It
it's
says the word
tzachak and tza'ak. Yeah, they both have tzadik kuf.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like such an oxymoron.
Somewhat, yeah. So I think I saw Very Sachs years ago that we like things to be black and white. There's the hero, he's all perfect. There's the villain, and you don't want to hear anything. You know, it's interesting. I had an interesting situation where I realized about myself to a certain degree. I was talking to a friend of mine, a friend who has many Muslim friends, and I said to him, I said, it drives me crazy. I said, you know, Israel does anything that they do in self-defense, and the Muslims erupt. ISIS is chopping off people's heads in the name of Islam, and there's nothing. See, he sent me the next day an email with links and links and links of this massive demonstration of Muslims in Germany against ISIS. This massive demonstration of Muslims in Britain against ISIS. Right? Articles written by their main poskim. How this is the antithesis of ISIS. There's a fatwa against them. Right? This is not what we should be doing. This is not how we do it. He sent me a whole long list. And I realized
They do something.
they do something. But the real realization I had was, inside of me was this feeling, don't bother me with the facts. They don't do anything. I was much more comfortable with my feeling that they don't do anything, because that fit into my feeling and my passion, that I honestly felt, when I looked at myself, honestly, I had to say to myself, I am seriously feeling, don't bother me with the facts. They're not doing anything. And we all do that to a great degree. We don't want to be bothered with the facts. We want to feel passionately the way we feel. And when it comes to the villain and the hero is all great, and the villain, who cares about that villain? And perhaps the Torah is letting us know, by pulling on our heartstrings, that there needs to be some compassion. Yaakov, let's go with our first approach. Yaakov is the tzaddik, and it was justified, and he bought the birthright, and he rescued the birthright from Esav, and Esav didn't deserve it, and Esav would have destroyed it, and Esav was the wrong man, and Esav was fooling his father. Let's go as black and white as you can. But still, he was so destroyed. And the Torah is saying it's not so black and white. And there still needs to be a sense of compassion. And you still need to see it from the other person's viewpoint. It's not so simple. Life is gray. We want things black and white. Those Muslims, they don't do anything about ISIS. But Israel, ay. It's not so black and white. Yeah.
In response to that comment, I think it's also the American press that they
That's what I wanted
don't,
to say.
their range of coverage of things is so narrow, and they
Yeah.
already have a slant, like you say.
Mhm.
They think they have the facts because they're covering it every day, but they have a definite slant. And then when these other things happen, they think, oh, it's just a small demonstration, it's not the mainstream. And so we are not aware of that there are responses.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what, Rabbi? There was a video of, I forget who it is, but he goes to Berkeley, this Jewish
I
man.
saw it also.
The flags.
I'm not saying it's not a problem.
And I mean,
yeah,
there's absolutely no one said a word about
they
ISIS.
give us some thumbs up. I agree.
In fact, when he wanted to get a reaction from someone, so he lit up a cigarette, and then as soon as he lit up that cigarette, someone
You
came
get
running
cited.
up to him to say, "Excuse me, it's a smoke-free zone. You're not allowed to smoke here. But you can carry the ISIS flag. You can say down with America. You can say whatever you like. But
Yeah.
the cigarette, please
Yeah.
get rid of it."
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
he comes there with that Israeli flag. He doesn't even have to open his mouth.
Yeah.
And there's such hatred
Vulgarity and hatred. Yeah.
and
100%.
emotion, and he doesn't even have to say, "Excuse me, what do you think?" I mean, he's trying to get people to respond to him when he's got the ISIS flag,
Right.
and then when he's carrying the Israeli flag, he doesn't even have to
They
open
just
his
spew
mouth.
it. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So, I mean, it is
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, maybe you can be sympathetic to them, but they have somewhat of a. I mean, I don't
I'm not
even
sympathetic
know.
to ISIS. I'm not sympathetic to the murderers, the axe murderers. I have no sympathy whatsoever.
Wow, yeah, exactly.
Right? I'm
So
not.
then-
I'm
so
not
then
saying.
how
I'm
can
not
you
saying we need to be sympathetic, right, to the murderers, right? But to understand that there are, right, there are different views, right, and there needs to be some compassion on all sides.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I will say that I was reading a beautiful letter yesterday by someone who lives in Har Nof, right? And at the funeral for those four Rabbanim, four holy men who were butchered, there wasn't a single word about the Arabs and about revenge and about this, about that. It was all about us bettering ourselves. Right? And the very powerful message this person was making is that we are a people that cannot be defeated. Right? If we're not now, of course we need to take security measures, right? But if the thrust is going to be what can we as Jews do better to serve Hashem, then that is just off this planet. That is just off this planet. Now, realize that, as I mentioned before, that it was because of all of these cries of Esav that Yaakov had so many cries. When Yaakov, in this week's parsha, let's at least do something in this week's parsha. When Yaakov encounters Rachel by the well, what does he do?
Cries.
Right? He cries. Right? Page 149. Yaakov kissed Rachel. He raised his voice and he wept. Why is he crying? Rashi gives two reasons why he's crying. One reason is because he came penniless. Whereas Eliezer, when he came to find a wife for his father Yitzchak, he came with all the wealth, and he's penniless. Why is he penniless? Strange story. Eliphaz, the son of Esav, was sent by his father to kill Yaakov, but he was a very, very conflicted person, Eliphaz. He needs to listen to his father, but he also learned that you can't kill. Yaakov says, take my money. A poor man is considered like a dead person. See, he's penniless. Because of what happened with Esav. Because of Esav's cry, what's Yaakov doing over here? He's crying. Second pshat in Rashi, why is he crying? He foresaw that he would not be buried together with Rachel. Why would he not be buried together with Rachel? Well, because he went penniless to Lavan, instead of coming there and walking away with Rachel, with the wife that he wanted, what did he have to do? He had to work for 7 years and set himself up to be duped. And it will be Leah who will be buried with him in Marta Machpelah, not Rachel. So it was Esav's cries which led to Yaakov's cries. And the Rachel and the Leah and the children and the antipathy between Rachel and Leah. And then the antipathy between their children led to Yosef being sold. And all of those cries, those inconsolable cries. But what's fascinating is there's one other place in Tanakh where we hear a za'aka Gidola Umara,
What is
where we hear a long and bitter cry. And where is that? Turn to page 1254. I'm sorry. Turn to page 1255. It's the same. Just 1 second. 1255. We're going to have a descendant of Yaakov. 1255.
12?
1255?
1,000.
I don't. Okay.
Oh, that's
Megillat Esther.
oh, Megillat Esther. Okay.
We're going to have a descendant of Esav. Esav had a son, Eliphaz. Eliphaz had a son, Amalek. The king of Amalek was Agag. Haman was Haman Ha'agagi. Haman was the descendant of Agag. See, here we have Esav's great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson and Yaakov's great-great-great-great-grandson by the name of Mordechai. And Haman approaches on 1255, the second paragraph. Haman, verse 8, said Achashverosh, a certain people scattered amongst people in the land. Their laws are different. They don't observe the king's laws. Right? Do not tolerate them. Let it be recorded. They be destroyed. I'll pay 10,000 silver talents. So the king took his signet ring from his hand, gave it to Haman. Right? The silver is given to you. The people also to do with as you see fit. And everything was written exactly as Haman had dictated. And the letters went out. Were sent by courier to all the king's provinces to destroy, slay, exterminate all Jews, young and old, children, women, in a single day, the 13th day of the 12th month, the month of Adar, and to plunder all their possessions. The copies of the document were to be promulgated in every province and be published in all peoples, ready for that day. The couriers went hurriedly forth by the order of the king. The edict was distributed. The king and Haman sat down to drink, and the city of Shushan was bewildered. Let's see in Hebrew. Perek Daled, Pasuk Aleph. Mordechai yada et kol asher nasa. Mordechai knew all that had been done. Vayikra Mordechai et begadav. He tore his garments. Vayilbash sak ve'ever. Put on a sackcloth, ashes. Vayetze b'tor ha'ir. He went out to the midst of the city. Vayizak ze'aka gidola umara. There's one other place in Tanakh of a ze'aka, vayizak. Ze'aka, Gidola, Umara. And he cried, a great cry, a bitter cry. Why is this connection being drawn between Esav and Mordechai?
Everything
Right?
is connected with baby.
There's all, right? Everything we do, right? We do, if we make a right decision, but there's some pain along the way, at one end of the extreme, there's fallout. If we make a wrong decision at the other end of the extreme, and there's pain along the way, there's fallout. Right? We have Yaakov was perfectly justified. We have Rabbi Sachs, Yaakov made a mistake. We have Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg in the middle. Right? He didn't deceive, but there was pain, tremendous pain. There's fallout. Everything that we do, like that little pebble in the lake and the ripples that go out, everything that we do, there's fallout. You have to be so careful. I got a call yesterday. I was talking to someone, and the person said to me, Rabbi, is everything okay between us? I said, absolutely, everything's great. He said, okay, just on Shabbos, I wasn't sure if I misread something. I said, no, chas v'shalom, everything's great. I hung up the phone, I said to myself, I said, wow. Right? You know, how careful do I have to be with every facial expression Because I would love to see what it is, that person, so I'll know, don't do, it's just,
But people are oversensitive too, Rabbi.
perhaps,
They get very oversensitive.
I'm not beating myself up, I'm just saying that, but there's such a responsibility. I remember there was a time that this person was so upset with me. Thankfully, someone let me know. Thank God I have a lot of people who have my back, and they'll let me know. They always say, "Oh no, Rabbi, I feel bad letting you know, but so and so is upset." I say, "Don't apologize. I thank you. If I don't know, what can I do?" What happened? There was a shiva house, and the person was saying shiva house was saying Kaddish. The person was not that familiar with the Kaddish, so they were saying at a very slow pace. There was another person who was visiting there who was also saying Kaddish, who was saying it at a much faster pace. So I looked at the person and I said, I did this. What does that mean? Slow down. What else can that mean? Stop or you're too loud. Right? What I meant was slow down because the person's trying to say Kaddish. It's his shiva home. Let's make it as comfortable an environment for the Kaddish to be said as possible. Right? This person was right that I humiliated him publicly by telling him to shut up when he was saying Kaddish. Right? I thought everything's good. Right? Little do I know this person is so upset with me. Right? Thankfully someone let me know. I reached out to the person and I did my best, to make amends.
Fix the bridge.
Vayizak zaka gedola, umara, and bitter. Right? The things we do, what we say, our facial expressions, they reverberate. And also, certainly with the story of Yaakov and Esav in the sale, we see different approaches. Right? There's very little black and white. And we have to be comfortable sometimes with the gray.
But everything in life has consequences. So the fact that the blessing was given, he sold his birthright. So it's everything has a consequence.
Yeah. There was a Rabbi Rabbanicorn, Zichrono Livracha, who was the manal of the yeshiva where I was teaching in Israel for many years. And there are times you have to he didn't like, I don't like using the expression kick someone out. You're not kicking anybody. Right? You're not throwing them out. You throw out garbage. You don't throw a person out of a school. You don't kick someone else. No one's getting a kick. But there are times that a person needs to be asked to leave. Right? Even if it's not for that person's best benefit. It's better for him to stay. But you're running a school here. And you have to look at not what's best for this individual, what is best for the entire school, because I've taken responsibility for all of the children who are here. And there are times that the decision is this person needs to be asked to leave. But how do you do it? How is it done? And I marvel at Natalie in camp when these situations rise up. How she handles it, right? With respect, with sensitivity. Right? And this Rav Manikon, Zichrono Livracha, would take a boy, right, you have to leave the yeshiva. I got no place to go. Oh, you have a place to go. You can sleep by me. You can stay in my house until you find a place. Right? You are a beautiful person who we love and respect and want to do everything we can to help you. Your behavior has made it as such that we can't keep you in the yeshiva. But now we can do whatever we can to help you with this next step. So a guy will be kicked out and he will move into his house. There's a boy who's one of my closest talmidim to this day. Why? Because when he was kicked out of the yeshiva, when he was asked to leave the yeshiva, right, and he needed a place to stay, well, he was able to stay at the yeshiva, but he couldn't sleep at the yeshiva. He moved into my house. And he lived there for a little while. Right? Other guys wanted to be asked to leave so they could also move into my house. You had Natalie's cakes in the freezer. You had a washer dryer. It sure beat the dorm.
Sure does.
Right? Right?
Sure does.
But, there are things that need to be done. And then we need to try to do them in the best way possible to try to mitigate there's going to be some fallout, but what do we do to try to mitigate that fallout? And that's I think a very, very important lesson here.
Rabbi, could you explain more about the blessing that Esau got? And also, I don't understand why Jacob blessed him that he would live by the sword.
Why what?
I mean, is that a blessing? I mean, it just sounds like a blessing you wouldn't want to give your kid. The one you love.
Yeah.
I mean, and I feel
sometimes
the pain.
sometimes a bracha. Later on, when Yaakov blesses all of his children, the pasuk says, "Ish kibir chaso beirachoso." Each one according to his blessing, he blessed them. What does that mean? That sounds like double talk. According to his blessing, he blessed them. Well, before he blessed them, what was their blessing? How do you bless them according to their blessing? But it means that he saw their innate blessings, right? Who they were and where they would be, and gave them a blessing along those lines, right? And
then
Asa,
that's even begs the question more, because they're going to be our enemy, and how could he bless them that they would live by the sword?
well, according to Rashi there, what he was saying there is that Yaakov received the blessings, but when Yaakov is not Yaakoving, when his descendants are not acting as they should be, then you will overcome them. Then you will be in control.
By the sword.
By the sword.
Wow.
Yeah. Right? Which also in a certain way
It's happening.
is certainly happening and happened, right? But that is to a degree what has kept us, when we speak about anti-Semitism, right? That is what has kept us on track, a people, and not allowed us. Famously, Rav Chaim of Volozhin said, when the Jew doesn't make Kiddush, the Gentile makes Havdalah. Okay? Right? A cute line, but if the Jew doesn't sanctify himself as a Jew, then, and tries to just melt in, then the Gentiles make that Havdalah. They make that separation. Right? No Jews allowed. Or as Groucho Marx said, I would not want to join a club that would consider me as a member.
Who said that?
Groucho Marx.
Yeah.
I would not consider joining a club if they would lower their standards and have me as a member. Yeah.
I mean, it just rings so true, like what happened in Israel with the swords. I mean, you think we don't use swords today. We just use guns.
Well,
I mean,
swords,
Yes. But
Just had one question. And you talked about Rabbi Sachs saying that the bowing earthward was one way in which the prophecy...
Well, Yaakov was giving back the brachas to Esau.
Yes. So my question is simply a very question. Did he get this from anywhere, or this is his own?
I'm not sure.
It's very interesting. I'd love to know if there's a source for that one.
Jacob gave the lesson back. He said to Esau, please accept the blessing that was brought to you, Birkati. Hashem has been gracious to me, Yesh li kol. Yeah.
Because that's quite a controversial statement.
Yeah.
It's quite controversial.
Mm-hmm.
So,
The blessing
there's a
Isaac was
source for it.
yeah.
Because
That's
how
all.
could
That was
he-
my
Yeah.
question. I was left with that.
Let me go back to his article.
It's controversial that he gives back the blessings, so he doesn't have blessings anymore.
Well,
Or
because-
maybe he
He
just...
does well. No,
No,
the
that's-
blessings of Yitzchak that he received, that Yitzchak gave to him,
There's a problem.
that he has. The blessings of Yitzchak was the land,
And
covenant, and nationhood. That he has, right? But giving back the other brachos.
Wait, 7.
Hmm?
Those other
Concept
7.
of supremacy that,
Right, the
that
supre-
Esau would,
right.
would rule over Yaakov.
Yeah.
That he gave that back surprises me. I want to know where he got that idea from. If that's his own idea.
Yeah.
Didn't Yosef have that problem, and then Yaakov as is Israel, on Ephraim and Menashe.
Yeah.
So it was something like that also.
I'm not sure
You
of the
know,
connection.
Rabbi, I'm just thinking, as you're saying black and white, we want everything to be black and white. And it's just ironic that Jacob gives Joseph a coloured coat. Because you would think, I mean, just based on what you said, you would have given him a black and white coat. Not as coloured. A coat of many colours. Doesn't it say it in the a coat of many colours?
Yes, yeah. The Gemara says, the Gemara speaks about wearing black. That's the way of the Yishmaelim. That's not the way of the Jews. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Rabbi, what you were
Yeah.
saying about how you would escort people out or ask them to leave, so doesn't that sort of beg the question how Abraham sent Hagar? Just sort of matter of factly with
Yeah, yeah, and that's why Hashem
listened
told
to
him,
his wife.
Shema b'kolah. Hashem told him, listen to the voice of Sarah.
He wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have done it.
Isn't there something like to send an escort and not just a skin of water? And
Yeah, I hear that.
So Rabbi, just can you repeat for
Yeah,
me
but she
again?
saw
What
the
is,
future
what
and she
is
saw
their
what was
blessing
gonna happen.
compared to our blessing?
She
Like
really
the
was not
nation
very-
with
One is more,
the-
if you break it down simply, it's the material wealth and it's the spiritual heritage, right? The material wealth, that's the Tala Shamayim, right? Nimal, right? That's the dew of the heavens and the fat of the earth. It's the material wealth. The Beis Halevi has his take on it is that for Yaakov, right? His take on this is that Yitzchak really wanted there to be a Yisachar Zvulun partnership over here. Yisachar Zvulun was the one who was the learner, and Zvulun was the earner, right? And that Zvulun supported Yisachar, and by that they had equal schar. So he envisioned this partnership of Esav and Yaakov, and Esav getting the bracha of the dews of the heaven, that would be his, and he would thereby support and help Yaakov in his spiritual endeavors. It would be a twosome, right? It would be a twosome. Actually, did I see this? Ki bi Yitzchak yikari lechazera. Right? We're told through Yitzchak your seed will be called. Right? Bi Yitzchak means through Yitzchak, not through Yishmael. Then we go further. Bi Yitzchak, in Yitzchak, but not all of Yitzchak. Meaning not Esav, but Yaakov. That's because of the way things turned out. But the Or Gedayahu says that Bi Yitzchak has another potential. Bi Yitzchak means ba is bet, is two. In both, right? With both aspects of Yitzchak, Yikari L'chazera. Meaning there was the possibility of this partnership of Yaakov and Esav. And it would not have been Bi Yitzchak, in Yitzchak, not all of Yitzchak, Yaakov to the exclusion of Esav. It would have been Bi Yitzchak with both of Yitzchak, with Yaakov and Esav, Yikari L'chazera. Yitzchak envisioned this partnership of Yisachar Zvulun, and he gave all the bounty of the material world to Esav, and the spiritual quest, mission, mandate that was given to Yaakov, and together they would work together on that. But Rivka understood that Esav was deceiving Yaakov, and that was not going to be the case. So therefore, what was gained? It was given to Yaakov. What was gained? Anyhow, was taken by Esav. Yes, but now it's Yaakov's that Esav is taking, so Yaakov is receiving credit that which is his is being taken away. So there was no practical difference for Esav. Either way, Esav seized it. The question is, was he seizing that which was rightfully his, or was he commandeering that which belonged to someone else? But there was this idea of the materialism and the spirituality. And there was the hope for this merge, which Yitzchak thought could be, Rivka saw could not be, according to the Beis Halevi. which is
And now, for
another
today-
approach.
And for today, can it be? Is it meant to be?
Between us and the nations, or within us? Within us, we certainly have Yisachar Zvulun relationships. We have everyone who is supporting places of learning, places of davening, right, are all involved in Yisachar Zvulun. Right, eventually, with the coming of Mashiach, then it will once again be this Shchem Echad, this one group, right? Everyone serving Hashem and recognizing different roles and playing support roles, right? The same way that I'm very comfortable playing a support role for a Kohen when he does his avoda, and for a Melech when he plays his role. There'll be different, major roles and supporting roles that people will be comfortable in. And helping one another to do, or helping the nation of Israel to serve on the highest of levels. Everyone will be in those roles.
Wasn't Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi and the Roman general was like were?
Yeah, the Gemara tells about
pretty good.
Yeah.
Did he
Antinonus and
convert?
Rebbe.
Did he convert?
Sorry,
Did he become a Jew, the Roman?
I'm not sure.
I'd love to
not
know.
sure. Yeah. Okay, Yeshua Koach, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rabbi.
Thank you very much.